Hey, 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 everybody. Happy Friday, or should I say happy FriYAY, and welcome back to the stream. We have had quite the week, haven't we? And I know everybody is probably just feeling incredibly hopeless, incredibly afraid, incredibly exhausted emotionally and otherwise. So we are going to shake things up a little bit on the stream today and have some fun and give everyone a reason to smile again, because I think our world really needs it. And I'm sure we will all go back to the next few hours right after this of scrolling through Twitter as much as humanly possible, and scrolling through Instagram as much as humanly possible, and scrolling through TikTok as much as humanly possible, trying to get caught up on all of the news and make sure that everybody is safe and okay during this global day of rage or global day of jihad. But to just give everyone a moment to take a deep breath, to quiet yourself, and to remind yourself that there is good in the world again, and always a reason to smile. We are going to have this FriYAY covering some underreported but very, very wholesome and beautiful good news stories, because I think we all could use a reason to smile again. You guys know my favorite book series of all time from growing up. I've read them like a million times in a row, but it's been a long time since I've done a full reread, is Harry Potter. I've seen all the movies probably like 25 million times. I am a Harry Potter fanatic. You can't really tell because it's hiding behind my logo, but right over there in the corner of my stream are all the illustrated versions. I absolutely love it. And one of my favorite quotes from Harry Potter, specifically from Dumbledore, is that even in the darkest of times, you can always remember to be happy. I'm paraphrasing, if you just remember to turn on the light. And I think that there is a really beautiful truth to that, one that I think we always need to remember, but especially when we are constantly surrounded by so much hate and so much negativity and so much anger and true evil, we have the capacity to turn on the light, and more importantly, be the light when the world is desperately demanding it more than ever before, certainly in our lifetime this week. At least from my perspective and according to my opinion. So I hope that you guys get a little bit of inspiration from this stream and always have something to smile about. We're going to jump into 6 good news stories here in just a second to share with you. But first, I want to say hello to all of you in our live chat. So make sure that you are introducing yourself and letting us know where you are watching from, especially if you are a first-time viewer. I saw a couple of names pop through here already saying that. So wherever you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Getter, or Locals, make sure you are using our chat feature throughout the stream today and introducing yourself. We try to build as much of a sense of a community around here on our little corner of the internet as possible. And because these streams are truly live, it gives us a chance to interact with each other in a way that way too much content out there just doesn't. We are building our community and our family here one stream at a time, and we want you to be a part of that. As you guys are taking a second to introduce yourself, I want to give a huge shout out and a big thank you to our sponsor today that is helping to make this stream possible. I am incredibly fortunate that I get to work for myself, and that's all because of your guys' generosity. Every single time you like the stream, every time you hit that little heart button or ring the notification bell or hit the subscribe button to help these channels grow, but also because of a handful of sponsors that help to make this possible so that our stream can be as truly authentic and real and unscripted as humanly possible. I am in the spare bedroom of my apartment right now. This is not owned by a big multi-million-dollar media company, but it's just a real conversation between real people. And today we are so grateful for our friends over at Nori who helped to make that possible. You guys have heard me talk about Nori before, but I'm so excited to be working with them this year. Nori is delivering the highest quality and most accessible microbiome solutions on the market. If you are joining the whole crew of us that has been detoxing everything in our lives the last couple of months, from the skincare that we use to the makeup we put on our face to the cleaning products we use to clean our house, a huge part of that you need to be really aware of is how you detox what's going in your body and what's happening in your body. And your gut microbiome is the front door into all of the rest of the health going on in your body. I've replaced so many products in my life externally, but I really think taking something extra internally is also a huge important part of my journey of detoxing. I, for one, have loved taking Nori's women's health probiotic products. They have a really great digestive health supplement, and my absolute favorite product is their signature Stay Well product, which is kind of like an emergency packet where you put it into some water and you stir it all up, but it is so much yummier and so much cleaner, made with ingredients backed by science with absolutely no additives right here in the US of A. If you travel a lot or you get sick a lot, the Stay Well from Nori product will absolutely help you feel your best and healthy when you are on the go. And I know because I take one literally every single day. You can grab your first Nori product from the link that I just dropped over in our live chat and use code Isabel20 for a discount on your first order. And most importantly, let's give them some love in helping to support their business if we are looking for supplements or vitamins of any kind, because they are a company that shares all of our values. They are pro-life, pro-family, and pro-freedom, and we love to help companies that help do the right thing every single day. Let's start over on Getter to shake things up today, to say hi to everybody in our live chat. Nitty Witty and Gary Upchurch, it's great to see you guys. Kanad is here. Ron's watching from California. TD is watching in Arizona, and Roy is watching from Texas. Over on Locals, we've got our gang ready to smile this Friday, except for Alex, who is sharing it's the Friday the 13th gifts in the chat. Yeah, we're not going to do anything spooky today. I think the world has enough spooky. I originally was going to do something related to spooky season today, but honestly, we're already scared, and I don't think we really need to voluntarily scare ourselves some more. Mountain Lover is here. We've got Tito, Crazy Cat Lady, and Magic Def in the chat. Magic Def, new countertops in your bathroom. We love to see it. That's exciting stuff. Over on Rumble, John Best is here. Quillwin is watching. We've got TZ Patriot here. Happy to have uplifting streams to end the week. Tynes is tuning in, and Mark is watching in Nebraska. And over on YouTube, we've got Total Package and Dermot tuning into the chat. Shalom is here, and shalom to you. We've got Obadiah and Brown Rice checking in. Marion is watching. Church is here. My mom is in the chat. Hi, Mom. Glad you're watching. It's been a minute since you've been in the chat. Glad you are here, and I can't wait for you to visit me next week. Red Scorpion and Dutch Canadian are tuning in. My dad is also here. Brown family in the house. We absolutely love to see it. Thanks, guys, for watching. Kobe and Tito and Gator Kellogg and Brenda and James, hi to all of you, and I'm so glad that you guys are tuning in. Do not forget, if you haven't already, to hit that like button. It could look like a little thumbs up or a little heart, and smash that follow or subscribe button wherever you are watching. We officially hit 20,000 subs on YouTube over the weekend, last weekend, which was a really big milestone for me. As you guys know, I really prioritize my short form content when it comes to follower growth. And so my Instagram and TikTok have been doing insanely, like unexplainably well this year, until this week when a bunch of people decided to exit stage left. And I don't mean that as a pun, because I decided to stand for the sanctity of life. But, you know, what are you going to do? But it takes so much longer to grow longer form video platforms. And as someone who is totally independent, hitting that milestone was a really big deal, and all of that is thanks to you guys. So if you're part of our 20,000 YouTube subs watching right now, thank you so much for being here and helping to share the channel with everybody else. Let's keep it growing and go to the moon. Okay, as I mentioned, I sourced 6 good news stories to share with you on this Friday, and I think it's just so important in the midst of really unprecedented darkness and evil and hatred and a complete disconnect and lack of humanity that I have witnessed this week. I know many of you probably feel the same way, that we remind ourselves that sometimes it's not about the biggest stories. Sometimes it's not about the largest, most viral headline or the loudest voice screaming into a microphone. When we need to recalibrate and we need a second to just take a deep breath and find a reason to smile again, sometimes bringing things back down to the individual level for humanity, to the individual person, and reminding ourselves that there still are good people out there in the world. There still are people doing good things out there in the world. It can be so unbelievably positive. We've got 6 good news stories to share with you, and I'm sure there are literally millions more that we could have found, but these are just the ones that we immediately sourced. And I do want to say that even in the midst of all of this conflict in Israel and the ongoing situation in Gaza, there are really good stories coming out of that too. I'm seeing literally countless amazing, wonderful stories of IDF soldiers who are rescuing dogs that are completely stranded and lost in the south of Israel. Moving videos that I was crying at yesterday on TikTok. There are people housing others who've been displaced from their homes in their own homes and taking care of their families all across the United States this week. You're seeing people with the opportunity to help send their private planes to Israel to try to get American citizens who have been held hostage home, even when our politicians don't want to do too much about that. So there are always good reasons to smile, even within the heart of extreme conflict and violence and hatred. But I wanted to share just a few with you today here on the stream to try to give you something to smile about as we head into the weekend. If you guys have fun fun weekend plans, you can drop them in the chat as well. We're going to ask you at the end of the stream to have a little bit of fun community check-in, but let's just jump right in, shall we? This is from Good News Network. These are 22-week-old preemie twins. They were born at 22 weeks, which is very, very difficult to survive. Even though our technology is getting so much better and this is becoming more common, these babies were born at 22 weeks. They totally beat the odds to go home, and the hospital in which they were born threw them a graduation when they were strong enough and able to stand on their own enough to go home with their mom and dad. Look how freaking cute these babies are. This is Kimya and DJ. They were given less than a 10% chance of survival when they were born at 22 weeks. And as you can see, they are both totally thriving. They have their adorable little graduation gowns and caps on at the hospital. This was at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio, which my family has a bit of a connection to now with my sister in medical school. So I just thought this was the sweetest story, and I instantly started crying when I was watching it. The nurses at the hospital at the Cleveland Clinic said these were some of the smallest babies they had ever seen. When they were born, they could fit inside the palm of their mom's hands. So the likelihood that they were even able to have this type of quote unquote graduation ceremony is so unbelievably sweet. They say miraculously they battled through. Hi. There's a reason to smile. Thanks. You know we're live, right? Okay, good. That's my fiance. Thank you. I love you too. Miraculously, they battled through and were released from the Cleveland Clinic after spending 4 months in the NICU. Now they are 11 months old and they got little caps and gowns and were able to go home. Their mom was 25 when she gave birth to them. I think she still is 25. And says, I was super excited when I found out they were able to come home. During their time in the NICU, their nurses said, I treated them as if they were my own children. I loved them and formed a bond with them that will stick with me forever. The mom says she knew something was wrong when she started leaking amniotic fluid, and so she was already in labor by the time she got to the hospital, just over 5 months pregnant, and gave birth to her twins. There they all are in the hospital. Oh my gosh, I just love this story, especially in our culture that would say pretty much 99% of the time, especially on college campuses, that at 22 weeks old, these babies should not have even really been born. They were just clumps of cells, right? They're not babies. They're just clumps of cells that really mean nothing in the womb. These are absolutely human beings. They are worthy of as much protection and dignity and respect as anybody else. And after being given all of the proper necessary care and attention and love that they possibly could have had from their hospital there at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio, how unbelievably sweet that this family gets to be reunited at home now and have a chance to move forward and try to have a happy and healthy and normal life. Kudos to you, Cleveland Clinic. And what a happy story to kick us off. Good News Network also has another one to share with us. If you are an animal lover, trust me, you are going to want to tune into this one. I'm looking at my dog who is passed out on the couch in my studio. She has buried her face in between all of the pillows and her eyes are closed. Sweet Liberty, we love you. Did you hear me talk about you? You're fine. But if you love dogs, this one's going to make you first really sad and then really happy, I promise. So just bear with me through all of it. Good News Network has this headline with 2 different husky puppies that were adopted together after they were like brutally abandoned at the animal shelter where they were adopted. These are the cutest dogs, Ryder and Rain, that I've ever seen. Look at their faces. Oh my goodness. A couple of beautiful puppies have found a new home after a difficult start to life. This is in Jackson, Michigan. Any Michiganders, any mitten people watching the stream today? Workers at an animal shelter in Jackson, Michigan were shocked when in early September they found a pair of snow white husky puppies in their facilities. Security footage showed a pickup truck arriving at the animal shelter fence and they threw these puppies over the fence. They just yeeted them into the animal shelter's yard over the top of the fence. One's a male, one's a female. At 6 months old, Ryder and Rain should have weighed about 25 to 30 pounds, but they were dinky and like literally on the brink of death, 8 and 11 pounds respectively. However, things soon began to look up for the siblings who managed to move to a healthy weight and recover their puppy energy before entering foster care last Monday. And then they ended up getting adopted by this amazing, sweet family. You can see them holding their dog over there in the corner. The team did eventually find the person who was responsible for abandoning the dogs And there's now an investigation into that. But how sweet that these puppies now get to go home and have a beautiful, loving family that cares about them so much. I love dogs. When I was a kid, we always had dogs. Sorry, Mom and Dad, I'm about to totally throw you under the bus if you are watching this. Right now on the stream, I'm about to totally throw you under the bus. We had a lot of dogs when I was growing up, but then we would like move states and it was a huge hassle to try to move with a puppy. So we would always just end up rehoming the puppy and it was awful. We did this like 3 times. We would get a dog, it was a puppy, and then it would be like an older puppy, and then we would move to another state and then we would just give it to another family because it was such a huge hassle to move to other states with our puppies. And so by the time I was in 2nd grade, I was probably 8 or 9. I would literally get up every single day. Around this time, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I was like truly obsessed with dogs. My mom got me this giant dog encyclopedia at Costco. Anybody else ever have this book? And I quite literally memorized every single dog breed in the entire book, in the entire world. I've always loved dogs. I am the dog lady. Anybody will ask you. But around 8 or 9 years old, I used to sit at my family's kitchen counter and would go through the newspaper, like the actual newspaper, because they still had them back in the dinosaur ages. And I would scroll through the classified ads to see people advertising for dogs that needed rehoming. And I would search and search and search, and nothing really ever popped up until we found a rat terrier, which is basically the same as a Jack Russell Terrier, named Buddy, who lived with a family that bred mastiffs, which are very, very big dogs. Obviously, breeding puppies requires a ton of attention and a ton of care and resources. And so poor sweet Buddy was just always left off in the corner, and I begged and I begged and I begged, and eventually my parents let me go visit this dog. And by the time we got there, they were like, we'll go visit, but there's no way we're going to adopt this dog. Like, we'll go check it out, haha, but there's no way we're going to bring this dog home. And we all took one look at Buddy, and he was our dog all the way through my sophomore year of college, when he was just so old, and he actually ended up getting put down when I was on study abroad. But that dog, was my best friend in the entire world. I'm sure he is up there in doggy heaven, and he will be running towards me when all is said and done. But I just think stories like this, where sweet, sweet, sweet dogs that didn't have the greatest shake at life in their first home or in their first situation, get adopted by a loving family. It is just, it's enough to make you cry, I swear. So those first 2 stories were from the Good News Network. If you guys have never checked out their website, it's absolutely adorable. They have all kinds of really, really cool, inspiring stories, and highly recommend you check them out, because sometimes we all just need a little bit of good news, right? Here's one, speaking of dogs, that if you were a 90s kid like me and you remember watching this movie Homeward Bound. Do you guys remember that movie? I was quite literally obsessed with Homeward Bound. I've probably seen that movie 200 times. I could quote the whole thing. But this story totally reminded me of Homeward Bound with a little bit of a twist. This is from Fox News, reported a little over a week ago at the end of September, that there was a toddler that was lost in Michigan for several hours on the Upper Peninsula. They were hanging out in the wilderness as a family and just spending time outside, and ended up getting lost in the wilderness. And they found the toddler asleep in the woods, just safe and sound in the woods, using the family dog sleeping as a pillow. And instantly I just thought Homeward Bound, but even better. This is the sweetest thing I've ever seen. The Michigan State Police lieutenant called the incident really remarkable. Like, this probably shouldn't have happened. This little child was 2 years old and was found snuggled up in the woods after going missing in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. The little girl walked away from her home with her 2 family dogs on Wednesday evening. She was found hours later asleep in the woods using the smaller dog as a pillow. Michigan State Police troopers from the Iron Mountain Post were called to the child's home in Menominee County on September 20th after she had reportedly wandered off. They used drones and police dogs to search for her, and local police and civilians in Michigan and in neighboring Wisconsin banded together to look for this little girl in the woods. It was really hard for the dogs to search for her because we have farm animals, but I'm still just in shock that she was gone in literally a split second. A citizen driving an ATV finally found the 2-year-old about 3 miles from her home around midnight, and she was using their family dog as a pillow. She laid down and used one of the dogs as a pillow, and the other dog laid right next to her to keep her safe. It's so sweet. The little girl appeared to be in good health after medical staff checked her out. This town that she lives in divides the states of Michigan and Wisconsin. It's right along the river there. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan is known for a robust forest landscape, blah, 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 blah. And they found this little girl very sweetly using her dog as a pillow in the woods. This further confirms my philosophy and my hypothesis here, by the way. I took a lot of heat for this on Instagram a couple of days ago, like more than I was expecting, way more than I was expecting. TikTok was totally on my back about this. They were like, yes, we are here. We support you. Instagram raked me over the coals for this. I have long had a philosophy and a hypothesis. As a scientist, I studied science in undergrad and in grad school, that dogs house the souls and the spirits of angels, that dogs are our guardian angels, like 99% of the time. I truly believe this. Genuinely, I believe that fat lump of a corgi laying over there on my sofa is my guardian angel. I truly would not be surprised to find that out in the afterlife. While cats, and I'm sorry, cat people, I'm not trying to like totally come at you right now, but if you're honest and if you are a cat owner, you would know cats house the souls of demons. Cats report to Satan, dogs report to God. I swear, it's just true. It's facts. Don't come at me. If you are a cat owner, you know this to be true. If this little girl was lost in the woods with her cats, there is no way that she would have been using one of them as a pillow, okay? This just further confirms my hypothesis, and I'm very glad this little girl was able to be safely found. On other good news, also from Fox News a few days ago, there is a 17-year-old who has been diagnosed with brain cancer in Ohio. Unbelievably sad. It's hard to try to wrap your brain around what that would do to you mentally and emotionally at 17 years old. But this beautiful 17-year-old patient was supposed to be going to her homecoming dance, which is a huge rite of passage in the United States. Obviously, is like a huge cultural moment for you in high school to be able to go to homecoming, and she has been diagnosed with brain cancer. So she was going to miss her homecoming dance in the hospital. And the hospital that she is being treated at in Ohio was so distraught over this that they decided to throw a surprise homecoming for her at the hospital. The staff said we were not about to let a 17-year-old girl miss out entirely on the homecoming experience. Fox News reported when a 17-year-old brain cancer patient was disappointed about having to miss her senior homecoming, her caregivers decided to bring the dance to her. Megan Crafty, who lives in Huron, Ohio, was diagnosed with a brain tumor in May after suffering seizures. Once she had a surgery to remove part of the tumor, she arrived at Cleveland Clinic's Children's Hospital. Can we just take a moment and realize, I didn't even realize this when I put it together, Cleveland Clinic's children's pediatric medicine in the NICU, and for this 17-year-old with brain cancer, thank you. You are doing God's work out here, truly trying to bring life and happiness back to these families that I'm sure are very much struggling every single day. Go Cleveland Clinic. She was brought to Cleveland Clinic for rehabilitation last week. There she was upset about having to miss her homecoming dance. Her caregivers sprang into action, putting together a Christmas-themed dance. This is so my sister. My sister is obsessed with Christmas. It doesn't matter if it's July, April, or September. She would want a Christmas-themed party, period, end of story, no matter what, in sickness or in health. I love that. Surprised by her boyfriend of 2 years who came to the Cleveland Clinic for this Christmas-themed homecoming, her family and other rehab patients, Crafty was overcome with emotion when she arrived at the gym, which had been transformed into a winter wonderland. The group danced, ate, did crafts, and enjoyed the afternoon. Her brain cancer was diagnosed in May when her MRI received a golf ball-sized tumor in her brain. On September 12th, they were able to remove 70% of the tumor, but the remaining 30% is still connected to her nervous system. She has paralysis on her left side, which is why she's in the wheelchair now, but the Cleveland Clinic is already getting her back to the use of a walker. She wasn't using a wheelchair as of late, and they say she's the most positive, happy person you will ever meet in your life. Not once has she ever let her brain cancer diagnosis get her down, but she was very bummed when she realized that she and her boyfriend Thomas Wilson would have to miss the homecoming dance, especially since it's her senior year. It's her last opportunity to go. So I asked the nurses if she and Tommy could have a quaint little dinner in her room, just the two of them, and then before I knew it, they had an entire dance planned. Knowing that Crafty's favorite holiday is Christmas, the caregivers decorated the entire gym in a Christmas theme and put on an entire dance. Anything we as therapists can do to put a smile on their face and to make their hospital stay easier and a more positive experience is worth it, said a therapeutic recreation specialist at Cleveland Clinic. We were not about to let a 17-year-old miss out entirely on the experience, so we brought homecoming to the hospital. These kids are going through a lot, so we are always looking for things that we can do, especially things they are interested in or that are personal to them, to help make their stay with us better. And this is Megan Crafty and her boyfriend Thomas Wilson after her surgery where her brain tumor was removed. I know this is supposed to make us smile. I'm over here like literally wanting to bawl my eyes out. Why does happiness make you cry when you get older? Does anybody know an answer to this, like a legitimate answer to this? The older I get, and for Lord's sake, I'm only 26 years old, I see a happy commercial or like a happy story and just instantly the tears. Like is it going to get worse if I'm a mom someday, God willing? Anybody have a good answer for this to me? Seriously, why does this happen? Is it hormones? I don't know. Smile, don't cry, Isabel. It's awful, but it's beautiful, and I'm very, very happy for her. This one is from the Today Show. Very, very sweet story that made me and my fiance smile earlier today. A 56-year-old named Jim Fullman has gone back to college and is now playing college baseball. And this is the cutest story. Genuinely, I hope this puts the biggest smile on your face. It's nice to have dreams of doing things, but when you actually do them, it's so fulfilling, he says. He's often mistaken, the Today Show says, as a player's dad. Some people think he's even a coach, but Jim Fullen, 56, is actually just part of the team. Fullen may not seem to blend in with his younger teammates on the surface, but he has earned his spot as number 38 on the baseball roster for Montgomery County Community College in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania. The other team, when we shake hands, always say, "Good game, coach." He had to stop correcting them because they always think he's the coach. This is Jim. This is so sweet. 56 years old, went back to community college so that he could play college baseball. His return to the ball field has been a long time coming. He retired earlier this year from his 4-decade-long stint at the U.S. Postal Service to pursue his lifelong dream of playing college baseball. I'm getting extreme Rudy in real life vibes right now. I know Rudy was real life, but you know what I mean. It's like the movie is all I'm saying. How sweet is this? He never gave up on his dream after 4 decades working for the U.S. Postal Service and said, even if it's just for community college, even if I'm 56, screw it. I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to play college baseball. As a teenager, he didn't even make the team at his high school in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania, and he kind of gave up, he said, on his aspiration. After graduating in 1984, he got married, he started a family, and he joined the Army for 2 years. "I never took the opportunity to play in college or even continued to try," the now divorced father of 3 and grandfather of 9 says. "It was always on my mind. It's just my path took a different turn for several years after that." He joined an adult baseball league in his 20s and 30s, which, by the way, I'm totally in favor of. More adults should join recreational sports leagues. My whole childhood, my dad played recreational hockey, and it was so fun for him. He still plays recreational hockey every once in a while, and I think it is so unbelievably sweet. More adults should do that, A, just so you stay active, but B, so that you can have fun and meet people. I am a huge proponent of that, and when I lived in Washington, D.C., that was a really big part of D.C. culture. There were always recreational adult leagues for everything. Most people play kickball. There's a lot of recreational softball in Washington, D.C., but I feel like in some cities, it's just not a thing at all. So petition to bring adult recreational sports leagues like intramurals back into every major city in America. Once he joined that adult league, he was still fueled by his passion. About 2 years ago, while watching one of his granddaughter's softball games, things crystallized for him. At the same moment, his daughter told him she was considering going back to school to pursue her degree. He was thinking of staging his own comeback in both the classroom and at the ballpark. He applied to several Pennsylvania community colleges to get his degree and spoke to a couple of baseball coaches to learn about the programs, but they all rolled his eyes and said he was crazy. But then when he went to the Montgomery County Community College Mustangs game last spring, he found support. He introduced himself to the coaches and they embraced the idea of him becoming a scholar and an athlete. He had to show up to tryouts, bat in hand, ready to take a second swing at his baseball career. The outfielder called his tryout experience a nerve-wracking one, particularly because he didn't know how he was going to be received by his much younger Gen Z teammates. But he immediately caught the attention of freshman pitcher Cole, who's 18, who thought to himself, wow, this guy can really hit for how old he is. He's only 56, but yeah. Head coach Mike Fitzgerald noticed too, and he also admired Fullen's determination. With 25 players trying out, only 18 made the cut, and he is now playing baseball in college at his local community college there in Pennsylvania as a grandfather of 9. How unbelievably sweet is that? It is never too late for you to have your dream. And speaking of never too late, our last feel-good news story for the day, also from the Today Show. And I'm wondering if they have the update on this. I'll have an update for you afterwards, but I don't know if you guys saw this story. When I was scrolling through on social media, I was absolutely floored at how unbelievably sweet and inspiring this story is. A woman last week, this was only a few days ago, last week, became the new world record holder for something quite impressive around the world. She's from Chicago, and she quickly gained a reputation after being so brave to do this for becoming the world's oldest skydiver at 104 years old. Listen to this story from the Today Show. I saw this all over TikTok. All of my peers were like, who is this woman? I want to be her when I grow up. I hope I have a smile on my face jumping out of an airplane with that level of bravery and guts at 104 years old. Dorothy Hoffner, right after she landed, said, age is just a number, after becoming the oldest person in world history to go skydiving. How unbelievably cool is this? A 104-year-old Chicago woman is hoping to be certified, she has been now, as the oldest person to ever skydive after leaving her walker on the ground and making a tandem jump in northern Illinois. Age is just a number, she told a cheering crowd moments after touching the ground Sunday at Skydive Chicago in Ottawa, which is about 85 miles southwest of Chicago. The Guinness World Record for the oldest skydiver was previously set in May 2022 by a 103-year-old from Sweden, but now she obviously has broken the record. She first went skydiving ever in her life when she was 100 years old. So she's been skydiving multiple times in her triple-digit age, which blows my mind. Let's go, Geronimo, she said when she got in the plane. When she first skydived, she said she had to be pushed out of the aircraft when she was 100. But now, last Sunday, tethered to a U.S. Parachute Association certified instructor, she insisted on leading the jump from 13,500 feet. She looked calm and confident when the plane was aloft, and after the door opened to reveal tan crop fields far below, shortly before she shuffled toward the edge. I don't know why this website's doing this. Sorry, guys. And leaped into thin air. She tumbled out of the plane headfirst, completing a perfect forward roll. So just straight up does a front flip out of the plane in the sky before flying stable in free fall with her belly facing the ground. The dive lasted 7 minutes, including her parachute's slow descent to the ground. Coming in to land, the wind pushed her white hair back. She clung to the harness over her narrow shoulders, picked up her legs, and plopped softly onto the grassy landing area. Friends rushed in to share congratulations while someone brought over her red walker. She rose quickly and she was asked how it felt to be back on the ground. Wonderful, she said, but it was wonderful up there. The whole thing was delightful, wonderful, couldn't have been better. That's so awesome. After her jump, Hoffner's mind quickly turned to the future and other challenges. The lifelong Chicago woman, who's set to turn 105 next December, said she might take a ride in a hot air balloon next. I've never been in one of those. The update, sadly, to that story is she passed away a few days later. So she just passed away a few days ago after setting the record for being the world's oldest skydiver ever in history. And I'm sure that she is riding in a hot air balloon somewhere in the afterlife now, because what an unbelievably cool, happy soul. I love stories like this, and I just continue to be so inspired by sometimes when you're just really overwhelmed and exhausted and confused and angry, rightfully so, about the level of 30,000 foot catastrophe around the world, especially during a week like this. It is so easy to feel like you should lose your hope and lose your stamina and lose a reason to smile again, especially when you start comparing, like, I went to bed in a safe bed last night and I got to go up and go to my job today. I don't have to worry about losing my life today like so many people are around the world. It really puts things into perspective, but I think there's often just this amount of pure anxiety and this gut feeling that you can't quite shake, that you always want to throw up because of how truly awful everything around the world is. But when we can take the 30,000 foot level and bring it back down to the individual as often as we possibly can, to remind ourselves that even though people as a whole, humanity, might not be basically good sometimes, and that there's true evil out there in the world, there are still good people, and there are still people who do good things, especially to one another and in service of one another. And I think far beyond the message that I want to share with you today about learning how to look for good news stories and try to give your brain a little bit of a break with all of the horrible negativity every day, because frankly, our brains are not meant to handle 100% negativity and constantly knowing every horrible thing that ever happens around the world with every passing second. The bigger message that I want to share with you is that more important than finding the light in the darkness, which is a huge, important skill we need to be reminded of, we can be the light in the darkness, and we can do these things for other people. We can throw a dance for somebody who really needs it, or we can use our talents and our skills and our careers to be in service of others, even if it's something as simple as helping your grandma fulfill her lifelong dream of skydiving. Like, that sounds so silly, but imagine how many people were so inspired hearing that story and watching these videos. I saw the comments all over TikTok and all over Instagram of saying, wow, and I think my life is just an absolute shit show or half over by the time I'm 30 and that I haven't accomplished anything. I have my entire life ahead of me to still have wonderful adventures and to still keep inspiring others. We are supposed to fill that darkness with light whenever we can. And sometimes it's not just about looking for good news stories, it's about generating them. So as we go into this weekend, which still feels so heavy, and it rightfully should. There is still so much unknown about what's going on in the world. There is still so many stories of just pure, unadulterated evil that I am seeing from every corner of the globe, from most college campuses in America this week, and especially from here, from social media, which has been a very dark, horrible place for us to be in. I want your homework going into next week for the stream to be asking yourself, what can I do tangibly to not just look for the light, but be the light for my family, for my community, for my world at large? Where can I help make someone smile today? What can I do to help my family feel loved and appreciated today? What can I do in broader service to others? Where can I donate my time, my money, my resources, my attention, and my values too, that's going to create a larger ripple effect in the world? I think when we start approaching our day-to-day lives that way, instead of, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed by how many horrible things are happening in the world, we feel like we have a little bit more control over it, because we do. Things don't have to just happen to us. We can do something positive for the world, but it also helps to reframe our outlook, because I have been so boggled down this week by just constant waves of feeling sometimes really hopeless, right? Looking around at how many truly evil people are out there and thinking, how is that even possible? How is it possible that there's this much evil and hatred in the world? How is it possible that people would say something like that, or would type something like that on the internet, or would do something like that, like we're seeing with just the sheer massacre of people based on their identity, which is horrifying to try to wrap your head around. There are equal counters to that, and we don't have to be consumed by that. We can provide an equal counterpoint to be the better example, to be the light in the darkness, to make people smile, and to be in service to others. And that is a really powerful position that we can be in. We just have to be willing to turn on the light around us and to be the light when the world desperately needs it the most. So go find yourself some good news stories this weekend beyond the few that I was able to share with you. Go outside and see the sunshine, because that also puts a lot of things into perspective for everybody when we really need to be reminded of the light the most. And ask yourself, where in your life and your community can you try to help someone else smile and be the light who really needs to exist in your communities this weekend. Before we go for the stream today, do me a huge favor and smash that follow or subscribe button, and importantly, like the stream so that the algorithm can pick things up for us. That might look like a little thumbs up button or a heart button. I know it's a little bit of a shorter one, but we streamed a lot this week about all kinds of really heavy subjects, so we're going to have a short, sweet, happy stream to kick us off into the weekend. It is Friday the 13th, and there are some pretty crazy things happening out there in the world. So please be vigilant. I don't say that to scare you, but please make sure that you are practicing situational awareness, and wherever you can, trying to keep yourself as safe as much as possible, and try to do something really positive, not just for others, but also for yourself this weekend, because I think we all could use a little bit of extra love in our lives. You are all more than welcome to come join us over on Locals right now for our post-stream Q&A. We do this every day after the stream, and we would love to have you guys join our community over there. We have a new episode today of our faith-based series that exists only on Locals called Domus, and we are talking about some really exciting and interesting developments in the world of Christianity this week, as well as a very interesting and not at all accurate sermon that I heard from my hometown church in Colorado. I have a lot of thoughts, and I guarantee you're going to want to hear them, especially if you are Catholic. So if you're interested in watching that episode or jumping over to our post-game Q&A, use that link that I just dropped in our live chat. I love you guys so very much. We are back for the stream on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and I hope you have the best weekend ever. Bye, guys.